Kṛṣṇa. In this video I am going to tell the second story from Kṛṣṇa book. In the first chapter we have seen that King Kamsa occupied various kingdoms and he declared himself the king of such places. Now let's start the second chapter, Prayers by the Demigods for Lord Kṛṣṇa in the Womb. King Kamsa not only occupied the kingdoms of Yadu, Bhoja and Andhaka dynasties and the kingdoms of Surasena, but he also made friendship with all other demoniac kings such as Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavarta, Agasura, Mushtika, Arishta, Dvivida, Putana, Kesi and Denuka. At that time, Jarasandha was the king of Magadha province. So he made further alliances with King Jarasandha and such other kings as Banasura and Baumasura until he was the strongest. Then he began to behave most harmfully towards the Yadu dynasty into which Kṛṣṇa was to take his birth. Being harassed by Kamsa, the kings of the Yadu, Bhoja and Andhaka dynasties began to take shelter in different states such as the state of Kurus, Panchalas, Kaikeya, Salva, Vidarbha, Nisada, Videha and Kosala. Kamsa made his position very strong. When Kamsa killed the 6 babies of Devaki and Vasudeva one after another, many friends and relatives of Kamsa approached him and requested him to discontinue these wrongful activities. But all of them became the worshippers of Kamsa. When Devaki became pregnant for the 7th time, a plenary expansion of Kṛṣṇa known as Ananta appeared within her womb. Devaki was overwhelmed both with jubilation and lamentation. She was joyful for she could understand that Lord Vishnu had taken shelter within her womb. But at the same time she was sorry that as soon as her child would come out, Kamsa would kill him. At that time the Supreme Personality of the Godhead Kṛṣṇa, being compassionate upon the fearful condition of the Yadus due to the atrocities committed by Kamsa, ordered the appearance of his Yogmaya or his internal potency. This Yogmaya is the principal potency of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. He ordered the appearance of Yogmaya in the land of Vrajabhumi in Vrindavan, which is always decorated and full with beautiful cows. In Vrindavan, Rohini, one of the wives of Vasudeva, was residing at the house of King Nanda and Queen Yashoda. Not only Rohini but many others in the Yadu dynasty were scattered all over the country due to their fear of atrocities of Kamsa. The Lord thus informed Yogmaya, under the imprisonment of Kamsa are Devaki and Vasudeva, and at the present moment my plenary expansion Sesha is within the womb of Devaki. You can arrange the transfer of Sesha from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. After this arrangement, I am personally going to appear in the womb of Devaki with my full potencies. Then I shall appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, and you shall appear as the daughter of Nanda and Yashoda in Vrindavana. The Lord also declared to Yogmaya that his plenary expansion Ananta Sesha, on account of being forcibly attracted to the womb of Rohini from the womb of Devaki, he would also be known as Sankarsana. When Yogmaya was thus ordered by the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, she circumambulated the Lord and then appeared within this material world according to his order. When the Supreme Powerful Personality of Godhead transferred Lord Sesha from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, both of them were under the spell of Yogmaya, which is also called Yoga Nidra. When this was done, people understood that Devaki's 7th pregnancy was a miscarriage. Thus, although Balarama appeared as the son of Devaki, he was transferred to the womb of Rohini to appear as her son. After this arrangement, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead Kṛṣṇa entered as the Lord of the whole creation within the mind of Vasudeva. Then Lord Kṛṣṇa with full potencies was transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki. And thus Kṛṣṇa entered the body of Devaki from the body of Vasudeva. When Kṛṣṇa is there, it is to be understood that all his plenary expansions such as Narayana and incarnations like Lord Narasimha and Varaha etc. are with him, and they are not subject to the conditions of material existence. In this way, Devaki became the residence of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Devaki was kept within the prison walls of Kṛṣṇa's palace, and no one could see her transcendental beauty which resulted from her conceiving the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Kṛṣṇa, however, saw the transcendental beauty of his sister Devaki, and he at once concluded that the Supreme Personality of the Godhead had taken shelter in her womb. She had never before looked so wonderfully beautiful. He could understand that there was something wonderful within the womb of Devaki. In this way, Kṛṣṇa became perturbed. He was sure that the Supreme Personality of the Godhead would kill him in the future and that he had now come. Kṛṣṇa began to think, what is to be done with Devaki? Surely she has Vishnu or Kṛṣṇa within her womb, so it is certain that Kṛṣṇa has come to execute the mission of the demigods. Kṛṣṇa thought, if I kill Devaki at the present moment, Vishnu will enforce his supreme will more intensely. And he further thought, if I kill Devaki now, my reputation will be spoiled. Devaki is a woman and she is under my shelter and pregnant. And if I kill her, immediately all my reputations will fall down. Kṛṣṇa finally decided not to kill Devaki right away, but to wait for the inevitable future. He patiently waited for the deliverance of the child, expecting to kill him as he had done previously with the other babies of Devaki. Kṛṣṇa began to think of Kṛṣṇa while sitting, while sleeping, while walking, while eating and while working in all the situations of his life. His mind became so much absorbed with the thought of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead that indirectly he could see only Kṛṣṇa around him. Unfortunately, although his mind was so absorbed in the thought of Vishnu, he is not recognized as a devotee because he was thinking of Kṛṣṇa as an enemy. At this time, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, accompanied by great sages like Narada and followed by many other demigods, invisibly appeared in the house of the Kṛṣṇa. They began to pray for the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. The demigods could understand that the Lord has taken his residence within the womb of Devaki in order to fulfill his vow. The demigods were very glad that the Lord was appearing to fulfill his mission, and they addressed him as Satyam Param, or the Supreme Absolute Truth. They further continued to offer their respectful prayers unto the Supreme Form of the Personality of the Godhead Kṛṣṇa, saying that, our dear Lord, you are appearing as the best of the Yadu dynasty, and we are offering our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Then the demigods further spoke to Devaki, saying that, dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, appearing along with all his plenary extensions. He is the original personality of the Godhead, appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the king of Bhoja. Your son, Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is the original personality of the Godhead, will appear for the protection of the Yadu dynasty. The Lord is appearing not only alone, but accompanied by his immediate plenary portion, Balarama. But Devaki was very much afraid of her brother Kṛṣṇa because he had already killed so many of her children. She used to be very anxious about Kṛṣṇa. In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated that in order to pacify Devaki, all the demigods, along with their wives, used to always visit her to encourage her not to be afraid that her son would be killed by Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, who was within her womb, was to appear not only to diminish the burden of the world, but specifically to protect the interest of the Yadu dynasty and certainly to protect Devaki and Vasudeva. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second chapter of Kṛṣṇa, prayers by the demigods for Lord Kṛṣṇa in the womb. So in the next video, we will see the next story, birth of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Thank you. Hare Krishna.